Welcome to the Agent Upgrade Podcast with your hosts Jasmine, Krnjetin, and Alan Corey, where we learn the strategies of top producing real estate agents so you have the tools to upgrade your own real estate career.
It's Agent Upgrade time with Alan and Jasmine. And as always, pleasure to see you again, Jasmine.
Of course. It's great to be here, and I'm excited about summer. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it snuck up on me quick, and now I'm in the middle of it, and then it got hot real fast, at least here in Atlanta. And but it's the usual, and then you get your torrential rain, thunderstorms that last for 7 minutes and flood everyone's basement and ruin every inspection report. But we do go through this every single year. Yeah.
Great time for home inspections. Check the weather forecast before you have the home inspection.
Right.
The home inspection 10 days from today.
How's your summer going?
Things are going good. I've talked to several of my real estate agent partners, and it's always a little bit funky this time of year because I find that especially this year, people have spent so much time in lockdown that this summer, everyone is focused on travel. So things are a little bit slower for some of us. And I think what's interesting about that is that it's giving us the opportunity to kind of step back and take a look at our systems. Because we're not just going to sit there and not do anything. So we have been working on our standard operating procedures on my team. And I think it's just a really great time to either go through a database or focus on your systems, focus on how you want your client experience to be, maybe make that extra PDF, maybe come up with a marketing idea or a marketing plan for the rest of the year. Because this is kind of like the half point in the year, right? Like half year is gone. Now we've got another half. We know it's going to be a little bit tougher than the years that we've had ahead of us because inventory. There's a lot more inventory, but I find buyers, interestingly, are kind of like frozen and sitting back and saying like, let me wait and see if the interest rates come down, which I'm like, no.
Right.
Do the opposite. Jump in, go buy now before the interest rates are at 7 or 8%. So I think as real estate agents, it's important to continue engaging with your clients and saying like, hey, let's do this. Don't sit and wait because prices are going to go up. Rates are going to go up. Same thing we were telling them last year.
Right. That's true. I want to kind of step back what your standard operating procedures a little bit. And so a lot of times you hear people saying, hey, if you're going to grow your business, your real estate business, you want to have systems and processes in place. And everyone's like, yeah, great. What does that mean? And that's sort of like that standard operating procedure. What is your brand? What is the, for me, the Alan Corey experience? What is your, the Jasmine mortgage team experience? You want everyone to go through and have that same experience. And you have to document that, whether it's screenshots, step-by-step guide, videos, recording what you do, put in a standard operating, procedure manual so that if you hire someone, if you want to grow your team, if you want to plug and play, if someone quickly leaves your team, how are you going to have the time to drop everything, hire and train that person? If you sort of have all this stuff documented, it's really easy to refer back to and say, hey, is this the way we do things? Do we need to adjust the way we do things? But then that way someone on your team is doing the exact same thing that you would be doing. And so that it just keeps everyone aligned. And I know as salespeople, sort of that detail that needs to go into it is the biggest hurdle, but do it once. I think we learned this on a previous episode from Jen Lenovo. She really went into it. She's like, just do it once, and then it's done. And then everyone can learn it. So I think we both took something from that episode and been applying it to our lives. So I love that.
Yeah, for sure. I had a conversation. We were interviewing a new bookkeeper, and so she was like, "Are you open to like showing me how you do it?" I was like, "I am going to show you because this is going to be the last damn time I'm ever going to do this in my life. So I will show you for sure." Because that's what Jess said. Like, just think of it when you're doing whatever task it is that you're doing and you're recording it and putting it in your standard operating procedure. Just think of it as like, this is the last time you're ever going to do this thing. Do it perfectly. And that's how I feel about the SOPs.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Go once, or get a virtual assistant on Upwork for $5 an hour to just help you with this one task, and that's it. It's not a commitment. Maybe it's a 10-hour task. You pay $50. It's documented. It looks pretty, and you build from there. But that sort of leads into, I think, our guest today. He's got great systems and processes around internet marketing. A guy who really knows how to get noticed online. He's written a book. I love talking to authors. Their ideas are always really fleshed out and creative, and most times
Together.
all together. A lot of times counterintuitive, which really gets attention as well. The book that he's written is Tangible Action Guide for Real Estate Marketing, and our guest is Matt Muscat. Thanks for joining us, Matt.
Thanks, guys. Excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Reading before we met, your ideas and how you got started in real estate. You're not a realtor, right?
Not a realtor.
So
I'm
how
not,
did you get?
not doing showings all weekend like all of the hard workers on this call right now.
Yeah, well, I think it's good because I think a realtor gets so busy doing that they don't have time for marketing, and then a marketing person is great at marketing because they don't have to do that. So like you almost need the yin and the yang here. So now that how did you get into real estate? Let's maybe start.
Yeah. I went to Michigan State, go green. My Sparties can see it behind me a little bit. But I took some classes in internet marketing back in 2010. And when I graduated, out of the 200 graduating seniors in my class, like 4 had jobs lined up because the realtors and lenders out there had just single-handedly catapulted the world economy into the toilet. So of course, what happened by fate?
You're welcome. You're welcome.
The only company out there hiring at the time was a mortgage company, and they said, "Hey, if you know internet marketing, we really need leads right now." So I said, "Okay, I can do that. I can do the SEO thing, Facebook, all that." I mean, Twitter hadn't even, I don't think, had really been a thing yet. So after a while, we had some really great online rankings. We were getting leads in. Life was good, except there were 10,000 listings for every one buyer. So, the opposite of where we are today.
Right.
And I said, what else can I do? And they said, you're good at this marketing for us. Why don't you help realtors with this? It will make them like us more, and then they might send us business. So after that, I started doing, 20 to 30 realtor meetings a week and meeting with other lenders as well and trying to figure out what was working for everybody. Because at that point, I was green. Well, fast forward 11, 12 years, I've probably met with 2,000 or 3,000 agents and lenders. And every time I heard something that was cool and interesting or unique, I would just write it down. And at first it was a yellow notepad on my desk, and then it turned into an Amazon bestseller. So that was really fun. And so now when I do these meetings, I listen, I hear what your assets are that you're bringing to the table as a new agent or lender, because everyone has something different that should set them apart from another agent. If you have nothing that sets you apart, maybe go into a different industry. But we look through this guide, or we look through, other ideas, and we think, what's going to be a good fit for where you are in your career and where you want your goals to take you, etc. So that's kind of how it started. That's where it is now, and I'm pumped to be in this industry.
That's awesome. So let's dig in. New agent, maybe 2 years in, maybe 10 deals under their belt. What sort of strategies, marketing? Is this a big upfront expense? Is it door knocking? What sort of things do you recommend for that?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the word expense, because I am pretty rigid about this. I don't think new agents or lenders should spend almost any money on their marketing until they have some serious cash flow coming in. The reason, or until they've tried every other possible opportunity. So the number one thing I'm sure your broker told you is always going to be your sphere. So if you're a new agent and you're from the area that you serve, I want to get you to 250 people in your database. And these are quality people who you would recognize you and you them if you saw them at the grocery store. Although no one grocery shops anymore, so that's we all use Shipt or whatever.
Yeah.
But I want quality people in there. And then if you think like, oh, well, I don't need to do that. I already have 250 in my whatever system. Then my challenge is put better and more deep contact information in there. At the bare minimum, it's like first name, last name, email address, cell phone number, address, city, state, zip code, how you know them, their spouse's name, their kids' names, their dog's name, what they do for fun. Like, the more rich information you put in there, and then the last time you contacted them, you can really start to apply some critical thinking to every person. And this kind of gets into like a higher level exercise that I give to my $20 million agents. And that's, look at every single client and think about what they do for a living, right? Think about where they work, where they live, what they do for a living, like what's their life situation, and put 5 minutes a day into looking at this for 5 clients a day, and do critical thinking and say, what is my real opportunity here? Because I think so many times we get short, like salespeople, not just people in our industry, salespeople get short-sighted and think, I want to sell that person a house. I want to sell them a mortgage. I want to sell them the one primary thing that I sell. Where the problem becomes is that the real opportunity is usually not selling them the one thing you sell. Like the real opportunity might be the fact that they're, a senior manager and they oversee a team of 30 people and they could refer you to those 30 people. Or, oh, they work in human resources and they know every person getting fired and hired from the major hospital system. Like I work with a realtor. Her husband is an HR person at one of our big hospital systems. Every time a doctor gets hired, just refers the person to his spouse. Probably $9 million deals a year off referrals from one person. I mean, that's the opportunity. If one of your clients is a hairdresser, your opportunity is not to sell them another house a year after you sold them their first house. Your opportunity is the fact that they have 10 people in their chair every single day talking about all the biggest things going on in their life, real estate being almost every single day. So why not figure out a strategy to get you mentioned to their clients? Like figure out what the strategy is depending on what you know about your client after a critical thinking exercise.
I love this because I sold a house once to the lead recruiter for a growing tech startup, and everyone that they hired that was moving to town then became my referral, and I was like, man, this has been the boon. That was just I was actually working at that company.
Yeah,
sold her a house as a part-time agent, and then she gave me so much business I was able to go full-time. But yeah,
I think the hairdresser thing though, like that is totally like an underexploited.
Yeah.
I think you should be going and getting your hair did every single week at a different hair salon.
Don't tell my wife that. Right?
I need a million taken off about here today.
Well, and like to just like take that to like one other strategy, like maybe you don't have, like you mentioned, Alan, like you're a new agent. Maybe you don't have 2 years in 20 deals. Maybe you're brand new. You're still spending money somewhere, right? Like you're still using your credit card, using cash, you're buying groceries, you're going out to eat, you're doing all these things. What if you were to, every time you purchase something, ask that person what else you could do for them? Like who could you refer to them, right? Like what kind of referrals does the guy you're buying a watch from need? What kind of referrals does the car salesman need? Like ask them those questions that are going to be very meaningful to them. Like, what types of customers are good for you? Who can I send you? Like I know a lot of people. And then eventually, if they're a normal human being, they're then going to ask how they can help you. And it's a much easier way to bring up the fact that you're a realtor without having to say it. Because like if you tell someone like, oh, hi, I'm Matt, I'm a realtor. I was just calling you today because they've already tuned out, right?
Right.
If you are the mid-level marketing person, you may as well be selling them like makeup or I don't know, whatever or whatever weight loss shakes are popular today.
Yeah.
You want them to ask you about you before you have to volunteer about you to them.
Yeah. There's one trick that I just learned recently is you ask someone what they do for a living. If you just, and then they feel obligated to ask you what you do for a living. And you're like, oh, I'm a realtor.
Yeah. Well, and that leads kind of like into social media a little bit too, because I think right now, whether you like social media or not, you have to have some sort of strategy for it. Because at the very least, it's kind of like your Rolodex with a save button. And there's an algorithm behind it too. But I was at a training one time with one of the world's biggest real estate brokerages, and the 75-year-old trainer, who I'm sure, I don't know what he was making, but I hope it wasn't a lot. He sent everybody a script, and he was like, hey guys, take this long script and send it to all of your Facebook friends. And like in the back of the room, I was like dying on the inside because like that just makes you a social media pariah. Like that right. Kills social media. And I thought no one would ever respond to this. So I thought, like, what is the script on social that works? And here's the strategy on social media that anyone can use to immediately set more appointments, or to at least get the algorithm to re-engage their people so that your friends you haven't talked to and you start seeing your statuses again. And this is it. You click on their profile, you look at what they've been up to recently, you message them about that topic. If they haven't been on Facebook in 4 years, don't bother. right? Like you don't need to message them if they're not an active user. Spend your time where there's an opportunity. So I go to your profile, Jasmine, and it says that you just took your family on vacation to XYZ place. I message you, hey, looks like your trip was awesome. Haven't talked to you in forever. Any tips? My wife and I were thinking about going there in the next year. It's not totally a lie. It's just like, I might be going there. I take a lot of vacations. But if you took the time out of your life to post about something, there's almost a 100% chance that you're going to respond to me when I engage you about that topic. You clearly cared enough about it to post it in the first place. And then if you're a normal human being, you're going to ask me a follow-up of, how are you? What's new? Like some version of that. And then I can slowly start mentioning what I've been up to. And I could choose to start with family, with real estate, or with anything else. Even if it doesn't lead to a meeting next week, if we haven't talked to each other in a while, Facebook's algorithm now knows that we're interested in each other again. Maybe not romantically, but maybe, real estate or business wise. And then you'll start seeing my posts again. So there's a whole lot of benefits to doing it. You just have to be strategic about it. And I know, like, before I got on, you guys were talking about kind of like having a plan, having kind of like something you're doing right now to prepare for December. To simply do 10 of those messages a day, any of us can accomplish that. We can do it on the couch at night while we're watching Netflix.
Wow, that is so simple, but also something that I've never heard or thought. It's just not. Yeah, but
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those things where there's actually another book online. I wish it was mine, but it's called like What to Post. I think someone should write a book that's just called What to Say, because 99% of the times when you talk to a realtor or a salesperson and you ask them what kind of marketing they're doing, they're like, honestly, I haven't done anything in a while. And I'm like, why? The answer is always, they just didn't know what to say. So to find ammunition for what to say and what someone else that you want to talk to is already talking about, it solves the problem.
That's amazing. I love it.
Pick up the phone too. Like, if you don't want to send it out on Facebook, you lose the algorithm juice, but you could just pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I've heard Ryan Serhant has mentioned the texting or reaching out to like 3 or 5 people a day and just saying like, hey, how's your year going?
Yeah.
Literally, like, especially, that I heard him say this during COVID. He's like, everybody's just been kind of, secluded in their own little world and just reaching out and saying, how are things? How are you holding up type of thing. And he said everybody on his team did it. And he was like the single best, most responded to marketing they've ever done. And you're like, we're never going to stop doing this because it's so effective. And it's literally just reaching out and saying, how's your year?
Like, the crazy thing is, part of it's effective because it's a strategy, right? Like, it's something that you're actually doing. Like, you can't get results unless you do something. I have an agent near me, and what she does is every single day, she takes her geographical farm that she wants to be number 1 in. She looks on the MLS to see what popped up in that area. Price reductions, new properties, sold properties, etc. And then she chooses 3 properties and texts each one to 5 clients. So 15 total things. And she's saying like, hey, I know you're not looking for a house, but this popped up and it's pretty similar to what you were looking for last year. Just thought you'd want to see it. She probably gets a response on 90% of them and almost always re-engages someone in the home search that had previously given up. Or sometimes she's just sending it as like hey, I know you live in the neighborhood. This just listed in your neighborhood. Like, let me know if you have any friends that want to move here. There's people always want to be nosy neighbors, but to pick a sphere, to be the most knowledgeable person in it, and then to send something out is huge.
I love it.
I love that. When I got started, I wanted to learn the software, and I also wanted to sort of plant seeds that I was a realtor. And so all I did is I just found my tightest sphere of influence, closest friends, just looked up their address and I made them a CMA, unsolicited, just sent it to them, be like, hey, trying out the new software. Just want to let you know, hey, this is what your house is worth based on the comps that I'm seeing today. And what it did then is like, whenever we had a conversation moving forward, a real estate coming in naturally, it was natural because it was like, oh, thanks for the comp. Wow, I can't believe it went up that in value or whatever, kind of thing. And it was just sort of just throw that in, anyone you sort of want to just touch or you haven't talked to in a while. Hey, was in your neighborhood? I was curious, whatever. And sending something of value like that, who's not going to basically receive and enjoy a letter that tells you what your biggest asset is worth? Like, it's like looking at your bank statements or something, right?
It's fascinating to me. Like, I literally have a chapter in my book about this, and I say that if I was the president, which doesn't pay enough, I would make it a federal crime for realtors to not send out annual CMAs to their clients.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
financial advisors are required to send out 4 quarterly estimates of what their clients' assets are worth. Like, why are realtors not doing this, especially when it's such a great marketing tool and can get you some business? It's crazy to me.
Yeah, we have a new CRM that we started using this year, and one of the features in the CRM is that it will do a value analysis, and it will send out like an email to every client, and it'll say, "Hey, the value of your home has gone up by 150,000." It'll copy the real estate agent on it, and literally, I'm telling all of my agents, I'm like, "Guys, that's your cue right there, right there." I just told them their house went up by 150,000. You should be replying back to that email, attaching that CMA, re-engaging that borrower and being like, "Hello, here we are."
It's super funny. We had a call night a couple weeks ago. We were trying to come up with like something unique and fun to do. That was more our personality as a mortgage company. And so we did these calls, and we called it the "You're Welcome" calls. And called all of our past clients and just said, "Hey, you're welcome." Like a little bit arrogant. And they're like, what are you talking about? We were like, "Oh, well, you're welcome because that home we sold you 3 years ago, yeah, it's worth double." So there's that now. And people laughed. It was funny. But a lot of people were like, "Well, can you get a realtor to actually send us a real CMA? We've done a lot of updates." And then it works for so many reasons. I love it.
Yeah. I love it. It's because a lot of times the clients will just respond back and they're like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." And then come on, guys. This is somebody send a CMA. Somebody do something right now because this is awesome. We just re-engaged here. So
I'll actually mention this. I had a new agent do this about a year ago, and I thought it was a great idea. So he came in and he was like, "What do I do?" And I was like, "Well, do CMAs. Home values are huge. Pick a neighborhood." He's like, "Well, I don't want to reach out to random people." And I was like, "I get it. Like it can be awkward." So what he did was he reached out to every single existing agent in his brokerage and said, "Hey, does anyone want me to do CMAs to their clients? I need practice. I'll do them. I'll mail them out on my own dime. If we get responses, I just want 30% of the commission."
Oh,
nice. I love it.
I am not kidding. He probably got his first 15 deals off of that. And so many of the older agents were like, "You know what? Like you can take this. I'll take the 30%. You take the 70%. Like I'm retiring." Like,
wow, that's brilliant.
So I always tell new agents, like, start with the other agents in your office, because a lot of these agents who are sunsetting, they're not going to start a new marketing campaign at the age of 50 or 60. Not that they shouldn't, but they're just not going to. So for you to partner with them and use their assets, which are their clients and their database, even if you have to get their database in order, it's a huge opportunity. And you might end up, coming up with a really great partnership with them that makes sense for both of you.
That's amazing, especially now that if you're a little bit slower, if you don't have your own clients, that's an excellent idea. I love it.
Yeah, I mean that's hold their open houses, send the CMA. You're just basically taking over you're doing the stuff that they should be doing or don't have time to, and taking over their client base. Yeah,
and make it worth it for them, right? Like be fair in some way, shape, or form. But
right,
your broker, by the way, will love the idea, because for the broker, it's a win-win situation all around.
Yeah. And you've got some good ideas for open houses. How can people improve their open houses?
So the biggest thing in open houses, it starts with selection, and it's making sure that you're doing open houses in an area that you actually want to do more business in. I hear all the time, like, agents don't like doing open houses because it's a lot of work. It's a time commitment. You don't know if people are going to show up. Well, number one, if you do it in a price range that you want to jump into and be a bigger part of, then even if you only pick up one deal a month off the 4 open houses you do, it doesn't matter, right? Like, I'll put 5 hours of, 10 hours of my time into open houses, even if I only get like 5 leads, if one of them is for $1 million house that I'm going to make a $30,000 to $60,000 commission off of. So number one is the selection. Number two, you actually need to market the open house. So it starts with marketing to all the neighbors in the area, letting them know, "Hey, I'm going to be holding your open house, holding your neighbor's home open at this day, at this time, and we're going to have cookies." And that call is really, really where the money's at, or that call, or door knocking, or sending that letter out, because you're giving people a heads up so that if they can start telling their friends and family that want to be in the neighborhood, like, right? Like everyone's family they want their family in their neighborhood so they don't have to travel to grandma's house 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So that's the critical piece. Once you're at the open house, it's really, really important to ask the right questions on the sign-in sheet, and to say, don't ask the question like, "Hey, do you have a realtor?" I see this all the time and I hate it. asking someone a yes or no question, like, do you have a realtor, is a great way for them to say yes, because they don't want to work with you, but they don't actually have one.
Yeah.
Ask them like this. You can write something to the extent of like this: for the seller's safety, they have requested that all people come in represented, or identify their realtor. Please write down your real estate agent's first name, last name, and phone number. And like, then anyone that doesn't write one down, you know that that's the person that you need to spend more time with at that open house. Also, make sure you're the most knowledgeable person there. Know all of your comps on the neighborhood, because the minute someone asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you're dead to them. They're not going to use you.
Yeah, and I like to throw in every open house, try to meet the neighbors, at least on that. Go tell them you're having an open house, but you want to go face to face. They're going to be, their neighbors are so invested in what that house is going to be sold for. They want it because that's going to affect it directly affects the value of their home. Yeah. So they're going to want to come talk to you, and they'll probably just look it up on the internet later. But if you go make that introduction before the open house, before and after, and just stay in touch, and then all of a sudden now you've sort of widened your sphere in that street.
Yeah, and what's really funny, like, we talk about open houses and the fact that open houses have been one of the #1 marketing tools forever. And the reason is just you're connecting with more people. But anyone that wants like a really easy one for after closing, it's to offer to host a housewarming party for your clients 30 to 60 days after close. Think about it. You're the realtor who, in the hardest real estate market of the last 20 years, you beat out 30 other offers to put that client into a house, right? Like, you are an absolute superhero. So for you to be at a party with all of your clients' friends and family, who are then, they're all bragging about you, basically. It's more about you than the house, for God's sake, because you're the winner that got them the house. Every time we've done one, we partner with realtors all the time on these. Almost every time we've done one of these after close open houses, we've picked up multiple transactions. Yeah. And the bill is like wine and beer, maybe some pizza.
Right. Well, this happened to me. I got invited to a cookout. How they did their own housewarming party, and then everyone had questions for me the whole time. And I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't think I was going to be center stage here, but it did feel like it."
Yeah. So I mean, to your point about like having systems before, like, put a system in right friggin' now that your ISA or someone on your team is going to reach out to every single client 20 days after closing to start planning that open house. Let them know you're going to cover the cost of invitations, and you're going to bring, pizza and beer of their choice. Whatever that looks like for you, have that become part of your routine.
I love it. And then if you get to a place where you have like 30 clients a month, it's just a party a day.
Yes, but then you need the money to hire a personal trainer so that you can work off that. Not you, Jasmine. That was more aimed at Alan.
I agree.
Oh my! I want to brainstorm something with you guys. So we have a house at a lake nearby here. And there is like a neighborhood not social media, but just like a neighborhood email message board thing where people post things all the time. And so one of these women, she posted, she's like, "Hey, my father-in-law, is looking to relocate. We want him to live in our neighborhood." And she just sent out this email to like the 200 people that live in the neighborhood. And now she has become like the source for all the people that want to sell houses in this neighborhood, because everybody wrote back like, "Oh, we're thinking of selling," or "So-and-so is thinking of selling." And I'm like, how can a real estate agent do something like this with, how there's like so many of these neighborhood email group things? Yeah. How do you do it in such a way that you're not the sleazy realtor trying to get people to list a house? Is there a way to craft something like that? Do you guys have any ideas?
A couple ideas. So it's funny. So there's a couple big ones. So Nextdoor, the app Nextdoor, is kind of the biggest one. You can obviously, on that one, you can only be a member of your own community. Yeah. So I always tell people to just check it like once a day, like have it be on your calendar. And then I actually tell people to respond to every single question, not just the real estate ones, because you want to be kind of like, she was the go-to person for real estate. You can become the go-to person in general. So someone is going to ask for a plumber today, a babysitter tomorrow, a dog walker the next day. You as the realtor are the king or queen of referrals. Like, everybody in your community. So I would be the go-to person to answer every question. And then obviously when there's a real estate question, they go to you also. I would also do more of a consistent job on trying to find groups that you can be a part of on Facebook. LinkedIn groups are tough because like a lot of people just don't respond. But you could search for your high school alumni group, your college alumni group, although that could be a really big group, which won't be effective. You could search for if there's a lake or a cottage community that you own property on. Those groups are always gold mines for agents because people are always selling those quick. Any kid stuff you're in, churches, bowling leagues, like think about all of those types of groups. Search them on Facebook. If they have a group, join it, and then become the most active person. And then don't overdo real estate, but I'd say do mostly just replies, and then once a year post like a real estate update for that area or community.
Like always put your email in the signature, so it says AlanCoreyRealestate.com.
Well, honestly, like today, I got like a notification that a customer in our market posted a question on Reddit. And the question was like, hey, looking to get a mortgage, someone recommended Treadstone, which is where I work. And then they also recommended XYZ Big Bank. And so I immediately texted one of my friends that closed with us and said, hey, I know you use Reddit. Can you respond to this and say that we're good really quick? And then as soon as he did, I texted 3 other people to also reply so that everybody would know that we were good. And we got a call from that person who posted like 10 minutes later. Nice. I mean, like the minute someone poses that question, you don't want to be the only one saying that you're great. You want to get someone else to say it first and then jump in. But I also always try to follow it up with a message because they're getting a bunch of comments. So if someone actually engages them with a message or picks up the phone and call if you have their number, it's a much you're trying a lot harder and you have a better shot of getting it.
I like it.
Yeah, I asked this one YouTuber how he had 10,000 followers fairly quickly, and I asked him how he did it, and he said, basically every question in my Facebook group, I recorded a video for it, and then I had one of my friends post my video for me, and I was like, oh, that's again very simple and genius, and I see why that works, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean the best content, we talk about like what to post, what to say. The best content is always the questions that people are giving you. So I mean, create like a note section in your cell phone. Every time a buyer, seller, or anyone asks you a question about real estate or the community, write the question down, do a video and a post on it at the end of the week. That's your content.
Okay, so how would that work? So let's say that you're in a Facebook group, like one of the local Facebook groups where people go and somebody says, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house, or should I use a real estate agent or something like that? And then let's say that you, Alan, would record a quick video on your phone that says, oh, this summer is the best time to sell because blah, 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 blah. And then Matt, you would take that video and post it as a response. Is that what you're saying, Alan?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, that's a great strategy, but I was talking more in general. Like if we as realtors and lenders know that we should be posting good, valuable content for everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that you're making the guess that if one person had the question, a lot of other people would like to know the information as well. Mm-hmm. So to take the one question and then to create a video that kind of answers it, but post it for everybody, it's gonna really fuel your content creation strategy.
Yeah, and to kind of give you more detail, Jasmine. So it's all these message boards and groups. Mm-hmm. It's the same questions every 9 months. Like, it's, I don't care about the termite guy now. And so you ignore it, but in the 9 months, that same person will, hey, anyone got a new, it's the same questions over and over again. So create a video. Hey guys, here are my 3 favorite termite guys in Atlanta. And this is what I like about him. This is the areas that work, the prices and conditions and whatever. And it's like a commercial for a company you don't even work for, but you list 2 or 3 of your favorites, put it on YouTube, so it's there, it's evergreen. And then whenever that question comes up every 9 months, you have your buddy post it, like, here's a good video, kind of thing.
So you could technically have an assistant, right?
Yeah,
that kind of pays attention to the boards, pays attention to the questions, and then they post your video as a response. And it could just literally be, it could be somebody that you pay 2 or 3 hours a day to do nothing but look at these Facebook, like, hashtag Atlanta real estate kind of Facebook groups or investors or something like that. Is that what
you're thinking? You could just post the video on YouTube also and like do the correct title tags and descriptions so that other people around the country see it as well. But I mean, when you talked about the idea of an assistant or an ISA, like, our busiest lenders don't use social media a ton, but we have all of their executive assistants look through their feeds every single day, once in the morning, once at night, to see what's important that they need to know about. And then they literally hand them like a little handwritten or email thing that says, hey, one of your clients had a baby, I already sent a gift. One of your clients got married, one of your realtors did this. and it's just, it kind of all gets taken care of, but it's definitely a task that your general ISA could do for you.
Yeah, I like that. I really like the idea of like knowing what's happening in your sphere's world, and then just being like authentic about it. But like it's difficult unless you're actually going to freaking spend 5 hours a day on Facebook to know what's happened with everyone. But you could outsource it, and it's still authentic. It's still, you're excited that your client just had a baby, right? It's not just that your assistant thinks that it's exciting.
Yeah.
So it could come, it's still an authentic thing. I like it. I like that a lot. I think that's really important, because ultimately I think that in the reality that we live in right now, where there's just information overload, everybody's talking, like when you scroll through social media, everybody's talking, everybody's got opinions and things to say. There's just so much information, but being able to kind of distill it and like take away from that, how can you authentically connect with that person? Maybe it's a person that posted something and you're like, hey, that was really impactful, and just taking a second to write a note and say, hey, that was really impactful, can then take all this information overload and kind of distill it into like, hey, I just connected with another human on a real level.
Well, respond to people about something they care about. Don't expect them to respond to you about something that's boring that you care about, that's going to make you money, right? Like, go the opposite way.
Yeah. I mean, what I don't like, I noticed that there is like lenders specifically that'll go and they will like every single darn post that any real estate agent in the city has. I'm like, that's not even authentic.
Yeah, you're devaluing your like.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're just like, I just saw you like 180 agents post everything that was posted today you liked. Obviously, that's not, it's just, I think that you kind of have to, you just can't be fake about it. Like, you can't be the realtor that likes every single post, every single person in your Facebook sphere or Insta.
I find like very little value in the likes, right? Like, even comments are kind of crazy. Like, one person, I'm like, oh, what do you do marketing wise? He's like, you know what I do? I comment on every one of my clients' birthdays. I'm like, yeah, you know who else does that? All 600 of their other friends.
Yeah.
It's a better strategy. Message them 5 days or 5 days before or after their birthday, where it's actually going to get seen by their eyeballs and not just scrolled through.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be seen in a unique way, not as one of 1,000.
I like that.
I'm sure, Jasmine, when people refer you, like if I have a friend in Atlanta that wants to buy a house, I'm not going to tell them like, oh, hey, here's Jasmine as well as 4 other great lenders. No, I'm going to say, hey, Jasmine's the best. You have to use her. She blew me away the last time we worked together. Like, referring one is always such a huge advantage. And that's not just in terms of like a referral. It's also in terms of any communication you're doing. It needs to be very specific, tangible, and personal.
Yeah, I harp on that. And I know people were like, I have to give 3 lenders. I've got to give 2. And to me, it's, listen, I want what's best for my client. And I've used those top 3, and I'm always going to have a favorite. And of course, nudge, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. My favorites are going to be at the top of that list. But like, hey, I'm not going to give you 3 plumbers when I know that only one is really the guy you should call. I'm, like, why would I solely my recommendations because, to protect myself? Like, I'm trying to do what's best interest of my client.
Well, yeah, and you have to kind of quarterback the sale. And I think it's so interesting because your clients want you to be the expert. They're coming to you not just to find them a house. They can find a house on the internet. They want you to really quarterback the transaction. So when you introduce uncertainty in their mind, whether that becomes from you referred 3 lenders out, so it confuses them, or because you were wishy-washy on which houses they should see, or you didn't control which houses you wouldn't show them, I mean, it starts to erode their trust in you. So I'd say find all opportunities to eliminate uncertainty, and you will have a better client experience. That's for lenders, for realtors, for anyone.
I like that.
Yeah, especially if you give 3 and then they call the 3rd one for whatever reason and it doesn't go very well, that reflects poorly on you for giving them that name in the first place.
Well, yeah, and I think the biggest thing with that, especially right now, the elephant in the room is we are in a rising interest rates environment. And so what's going to happen when they call that 3rd lender and that 3rd lender is desperate? They're going to like make up a random interest rate on the phone that has no backing in reality. And the client, all they're going to hear is that low rate. And then what's going to happen 2 weeks later when the lender actually pulls their credit, actually takes their information and looks at it? Oh yeah, the rate's 7%, just like everybody else's rate was.
Yeah.
It's not an apples to apples comparison. You could say the same thing. I mean, any realtor could just say, oh yeah, I'll do it for 1%. But I'm going to then charge you this admin fee, and I'm going to charge you I might charge you a fee for the staging I'm going to do, and for a little bit for my time. Like, you got to be specific, and it's really important to not introduce extra uncertainty.
Yeah, and I think also like just being able to stick up for your business partners. Like I had a situation yesterday where a past client of mine called in and she wanted to get pre-approved for her next home, and she said she was going to be working with a different real estate agent. And so for me, like, that's an opportunity for me to like step up and say like, hey, why are you not working with, the agent we worked with the last time? Not necessarily, like, sometimes they just don't, they're like, oh, well, this real estate agent had the listing on Zillow, so I figured I'd work with her this time, And so like, you kind of have to dig in and be like, hey, why are you doing that? We had a great experience, and you just gained $200,000 in equity from the home that my real estate agent sold you. So why would you not work with her again? Absolutely. And I feel like the same way on the real estate agent side, you kind of have to stick up for your lenders a little bit. Like, you have to stick your neck out for your people and be like, hey, why would you not be working with the person that I recommended? Because ultimately I know that the interest rate is going to be the same as the dude that quoted you this fantastic rate on the phone. And I think that it's just, maybe that comes from just like building a tight trust that, that I know that my realtors are not going to let my clients down. If I vouch for my realtor and say, hey, she's going to take really good care of you, I know that my agents are going to do that. And then building that kind of trust with your lender partner, that when you stick your neck out and say, never mind, don't talk to that credit union because they suck, talk to my person, that you have that level of trust and that kind of partnership. So Absolutely. You have to, so then you feel confident saying like, hey, only call this roofer, or don't worry about that, but yeah, I think it's just kind of the keeping it all in the family. It's important.
It takes a team.
Yeah. And surrounding yourself with rock stars. I always make this like, rock stars want to hang out with other rock stars. If I want to be the top of my game, I want to have the top of the game, closing attorney, mortgage lender, contractor, everything, because it's all reflection. And then if I am working with the best contractor, that guy's going to, send me deals of that, because people respect that person's opinion, and the lenders. And
you just said something fascinating too. Most people out there, like, number one, if you don't track your leads, I think you're insane. So let's just assume that everyone on this call, on the podcast, tracks their leads.
Tracks their leads and has a CRM, right?
And has a CRM, basic things I'm sure you guys have talked about 1,000 times on episodes before me. But I think you're crazy too if you don't track the referrals you give. Because realtors and lenders are poised better than any other profession on earth, except for maybe like the concierge at a hotel, to give referrals, right?
Yeah.
So, in a given transaction, the realtor is referring out a lender, maybe a title company, a contractor. They might be recommending like a new babysitter to the client, a new church, a plumber, a roofer, a drywaller, who knows, a gardener. So if you start writing down all the referrals that you're giving twice a year, call all those referral partners and check in like, hey, just wanted to go over the referrals I sent you. These were the 9 that I have, the Joneses, the Smiths, the whatever. How were they? Were they good referrals? Are you closing most of them? Were they the kind of clients you like? Awesome. Oh, really? You made a lot of money off them. That's fantastic. I'm glad that was beneficial to your life. Looks like I got one from you, which I really, really appreciate. What can I do, or how can I refer you more or better so that I can get more of your referrals and become your trusted realtor? Like, if you track it, it becomes a lot easier to have that conversation. Otherwise, you're just calling them and asking them for business in the same crappy way that everyone else is, and you don't have anything to back you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's powerful. And I think also, especially like if you think about like contractors, right? Contractors that you refer out day in and day out for all the stuff that they need to do, right? It adds up like, hey, you got that $85,000 project because of my referral. So next time you hear somebody wanting to sell a house, you better think about me first.
Huge, absolutely huge.
And also training them. So maybe they just don't even think about it. Honestly, like, I don't know how many times I've talked to my contractor. He has never sent me anybody, but I'm like, it's my fault. Like, I need to pick up the phone and be like, hey, Saul,
Yeah.
I'm sure you hear of people that are needing to refinance their home after they have renovated. Like, come on, throw me something. But just being able to track that, that's a great field to add to a CRM is tracking the referrals going out. I love it. I love it. Super valuable information. I'm so excited that we got to spend some time with you, Matt.
Me too. It's been fun.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what do you do? Like, I know you're an internet marketer. Like, can agents hire you for their marketing, or you work with brokerages, or what? Yeah.
So it's a great question. So I'm the marketing director at a mortgage company. It's called Treadstone. We're not in Atlanta, so can't compete with you, Jasmine, but I would love to work with you and send some clients back and forth.
Yeah, of course.
So my whole job is to coach and train our lenders, real estate partners on their marketing. Do it for free. We love doing things like this because it just gets our name out there and it helps us kind of just spread the good word. I think we're such a tight industry that there's no real such thing as having a competitor. My competitors are internet lenders who that's where clients think they need to go. I want to convince people to use local lenders who know their city and who know their communities. If someone wanted to find me online, though, I'd be happy to give them some free advice. They could check out my book, Tangible Action Guide, on Amazon. Also have a podcast. It's called Marketing in Other Markets. It's an easy listen. We interview top agents and lenders, and we go through what's working for them around the country. Because sometimes I feel like you learn better from people that aren't in your market.
Yeah.
And then, anyone that's not a realtor, if that's looking for something different. I also own a website building company. So if anyone needs a website built or Google Ads, stuff like that, I help with that also. And our company's called Maltese Marketing.
All right. You also have a website, mattmuscat.com. And are you on social media yourself?
Yeah. You can hit me up. I'm not on Twitter. Only the former president and a couple Kardashians still use that, in my opinion. But You can hit me up on Instagram, mattmuscat88, or Facebook. I'm easy to find.
And we're talking social media. Are you on TikTok, or what should realtors be doing on TikTok?
Yeah, so TikTok's an interesting one. TikTok, I feel you get a more national or worldwide presence. So for most realtors, getting that local marketing, TikTok is good. It's a lot of fun, but it wouldn't be my first priority. I would still stick to Facebook, Instagram for your top priorities. If you're going to use TikTok, I think the biggest thing is being educational. And I think if you really want to crack the algorithm on TikTok, you have to post a lot. Like, it's 12 or so videos per month. Typically, for people I see that do 12, at least one of them goes semi-viral. And then once one goes viral, you start getting more views on all of them. So if you consistently follow the 12 per month, by the end of the year, almost all of your videos are getting a couple thousand hits. So I think that can be pretty powerful. But also, if you make a great TikTok, you can use it on Instagram Reels, and then your friends see it in addition to the random people on the internet. So I think that can be really good for local. But if you make it for one, you may as well use it on the other.
Yeah, no, that's been my strategy. I put them on both. And
me too.
Yeah.
I just get rid of the TikTok branding, or I like to record in TikTok better than I like to record in Insta.
Yeah. TikTok is a much better platform for editing, for putting stuff together. So I think most people have been using that and then figuring out where to go. But I'll also use, I think TikTok and Twitter have just done such a great job at organizing the content that most people are interested in. So if I'm trying to figure out what's a trending topic today, I'll literally just go on TikTok, spend 5 minutes of what's trending at the top of the viral list, and how can I relate this to mortgages or real estate somehow? And our topics are so broad that usually you can find something to relate.
Totally. Yeah, no, I've gone all in on TikTok. The more I use it, the more I like it, and I've had some recent success after 6 months of feeling like I was in a vacuum and performing for myself. So it's finally getting some views. And
everybody wants to see their realtor dancing, so I get it.
Yeah, right. I try to avoid those. I try to provide value. That's what I tell other agents. People want to learn about real estate. That's why they watch HGTV shows. They want to learn something. Give them a 30-second.
Give them a nugget.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Matt, thanks for checking this out. This was very informative. You were very powerful advice here, and I think it's broad, universal. Everyone should take. I already am thinking that this is an episode I'm going to go back and listen to myself because you had so many golden nuggets in it. So
thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Agent Upgrade Podcast. If you are an agent looking for a new mortgage lender, start with Jasmine at jasmineteam.com. If you want to learn about real estate investing and working with investors, check in with Alan at thehouseofac.com. See you next time on Agent Upgrade.